What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Natasha Corrado. I recently got married. If you guys missed my wedding video, that is up on my channel now. Welcome, glad to have you. Today, we're gonna be talking about all the books that I read in September and my October TBR. So, I had 5 books on my September TBR that were all a part of my physical TBR video that I started talking about how I wanted to do a challenge where I read 25 books by the end of the year from my physical TBR, not including books that I buy in the future or that I'm lent. I read 1 book this month from my physical TBR and I DNF'd a second, and only one of those 2 books were actually from my September TBR video. So let's just get into the books I read this September and talk about them. The first book I read in September is What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. This book is a contemporary romance. It doesn't have an aspect of mystery, but it has to do with a senior prank game that these students are pulling. It's set in a boarding school. It is a cute little fast-paced romance. I actually really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. This is my first K.L. Walther book. I have not read The Summer of Broken Rules. It's actually on my book wish list. And I also found out that she came out with a book. I don't know like when it was announced or anything, but I saw it at Barnes the other day. It's called Maybe Meant to Be. I want to get that one too because her covers are so cute, so creative. It just felt like a good introducing fall book. I would recommend. The second book I read this September is called The Shack by William Paul Young. It is a Christian fiction that tells the story of a man that suffers great loss in his life, and he ends up being reached out to by God. And God sets up this whole meeting with him, this whole weekend getaway with this character, and kind of works through his grief with him. And the book honestly transports you into that weekend with that character. I loved it. I laughed, I cried, I was shocked, I was sad. It was a lot of emotions. It's a very emotionally heavy book. There's a lot of deep traumatic topics that are talked about, but I think that every person on the face of the earth should read it because it can really heal you. Like, it can really heal you of anything that you've ever been through, because it's a real book, you know, it's raw. And I know some people read books for escapism, but this book is like the perfect escapism where it's a little bit fantastical, like there's fantastical elements, but it's realistic enough for you to be like, you know, this could be me. I could read this, I could go through this, I could see this happening, and it can help. So I highly recommend that book. If there's any book that you take away from this video, let it be The Shack. There are trigger warnings. It is a very difficult book to read. It does involve death and a murder without spoiling too much. But if you think that you can handle a book like that, I highly recommend, because honestly, it changed the way that I view God entirely, completely. And I think that it can really help you understand who God is. So I would recommend that book to you. I gave it 5 stars. The third book I read in September is One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. I actually didn't know that this was a trilogy. I thought it was a duology. And I have One of Us is back here because when I went to go buy them, it was just these 2. The third book, like the middle book, was not there. So I don't have the second book in the series. Will I buy it? I'm not sure, because I didn't like this book as much as I thought I was going to. I think I gave it 3 stars. If I didn't, looking back, I'm giving it 3 stars now. It's a academic mystery. There is a subplot of romance that actually is very sweet. I really like the ending because of that reason, but I wouldn't recommend it because this book also has trigger warnings, and I wasn't necessarily affected by it, but I was a little bit disturbed. I don't really like the trajectory that this book went down. I honestly thought it was a little bit too much for a young adult mystery book, so for that reason, I don't think I would recommend it. I would rather, if you guys want like a murder mystery, a young adult murder mystery series, I would recommend A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna read the second book or if I'm just gonna go straight into the third just because I have it, but that's how I felt. The fourth book I read in September is called Destined to Reign by Joseph Prince. So this book was actually on my physical TBR, and I'm so happy I read it, and I'm kind of annoyed that it took me this long because this book was phenomenal. I would also recommend this book to literally anybody. The title is literally called Destined to Reign. If you want to reign in life, read this book. Simple as that, read this book. I think I gave it 4 stars when I first finished it, but looking back now, I'm gonna give it 5 because it was just so good. I highlighted so many pages and underlined so many things, and it was not only like, yes, this is considered Christian nonfiction and some would call it a religious book, but it literally reads like you're having a conversation with somebody. Like, it reads like you're having a conversation with the author. So for that reason, I think anyone can read this book and enjoy it. Like, I fully annotated these pages. I really, really love this book. I would give it to literally everybody that I know because it's crucial. Like, you want to have a good life, life. Jesus came to give you a good life. This is how you have a good life. Like, it's all in this book. You could either read the Bible to really get the full story, or you could read this starter pack for the Bible for you to live an amazing life. I don't know. To me, it's very simple. I personally want to live an abundant life that Jesus promised, and this book really helped me understand what the Bible was talking about. So I would highly recommend. Like I said, this is by Joseph Prince. He is a pastor based in Singapore. He also has live streams on YouTube if you want to go check him out. But I love this book. I gave it 5 stars, and I would recommend that you read this book for sure. Book number 5 in September is a dragon fantasy. It's called Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. I gave this book a solid 4 stars. It didn't give me the 5-star feeling that Fourth Wing initially did. It was still very good. It's a lot like Fourth Wing in the fact that there are dragons and that there's like quadrants where each person trains to be something different, and it's also a little bit Hunger Games-esque where there's different levels to the society and riches ranking each level of the societal status. I would recommend, this is marketed as young adult, but it's very intricate and very detailed. I am 22 years old, and I don't think I would have been able to read this when I was 13 years old, because this is like a deep book, you know? It follows 2 characters. There is literally the smallest subplot of romance, like the smallest. It's mentioned, but you don't get anything else. Like, it's literally just mentioned here and there. It's like little sprinkles. The main plot of this book is just action and origin of the 2 characters that they follow. It is dual POV. That's pretty much all I can say without spoiling it. I would recommend that you read it. You might like it. Rate it 5 stars. I rated it 4 because of how great the writing was. Also, this is Rosaria Munda's debut novel. It's phenomenal. Like, truly, it's phenomenal. Her writing is exquisite. The details are amazing. Her descriptions are so well done. It's action-packed. It's interesting. It's fast-paced. I suggest you read Fireborn if you liked Fourth Wing. The next book I read came out this month, and I read it this month. It is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. So I have a whole reading vlog of this book. It's right here if you want to go watch it after this video. I annotated this book. I read it in about 3.5-4 days, and I will say it did take me longer to read because the print is super tiny and the pages, like, so much was crammed into each page, into each chapter. I've been watching a lot of videos of people talking about what they thought about this book, and in my reading vlog I rated it 5 stars. I feel like I was swayed by 1, it being a new release, being really excited to read it. 2, the cover is just so cute. 3, I love the series. I love everything I've read in this series so far. And 4, just like the accomplishment of finishing a series like this, the ending, the bonus epilogue was phenomenal. I will say the content of this book itself, it's good, as in it's a good story, but I have to agree with, I heard Destiny said this, I have to agree where it really did feel like the romance was a subplot. Don't get me wrong, the romance is literally supposed to be the epitome of this book. And if you guys have read the Knock 'Em Out series before, there is a heavy subplot of mystery in each of the books. In Nox and Naomi's, the mystery crime is initiated, and then in Angelina's and Nash's book, it's developed even further, and in this book, it's completely wrapped up. I will say, I kind of wish that Lucy Score developed the emotional side of Lucian and Sloane's relationship, because it was honestly like day and night. It was like on and off. Not like on and off like they broke up and got back together and, you know, vice versa. That did kind of happen, but I mean, like, literally it was like I hate you, and then it was like I love you. And I did not love that, because at first it was physical attraction, and I was like, that's not my thing. I am the lovey-dovey, emotional, soul deep, you know, understanding between 2 people. I don't love when romances are purely physical, and don't get me wrong, there was an emotional side to this, but it just wasn't developed in the way that I would have liked. So maybe because of that, I'll bump it down to 4 stars, but because this is the finale of the series, and because I still had a great time reading it, and I underlined so many things, I will still give it 4 stars. I will 100% recommend this entire series because it was truly phenomenal. Like, it was truly a great series. You can't go wrong. Okay, so the second book that actually was supposed to be on my September TBR was The World's Greatest Sleuth by Steve Hawkinsmith. I decided to start it because it was a mystery and I thought it would go by quickly, but unfortunately, I'm going to DNF this book. And it literally pains me to do that and to say that and to admit that, because I do not like DNFing books. I'm the type of person that's like, even if I don't like it, I'm gonna push through because I hate not finishing a book. But honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that it's on my physical TBR and I literally bought it on a whim just because I had $7 and the library had a book for $1 and I just went crazy, I would literally never read this book, never pick it up. I don't even think it's for my age level. I think this is for middle middle grade readers. It's a whole Sherlock Holmes mystery-based series. This book literally has nothing to do with Sherlock Holmes though, so that was kind of disappointing. It follows literally two country cowboys trying to be detectives and going into this detective contest to see who's the best detective, who's gonna overtake the spot that Sherlock Holmes left vacant. I got maybe like a couple chapters in. I made it to page maybe 100 something, maybe not even. I think I made it to page like 93. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I don't understand what's going on. I don't get the characters. Like, I'm zoning in and out while reading it. So I was like, you know what? Let me do myself a favor. Let me not put myself through this. I'm going to DNF my first book off of my physical TBR. It literally hurts my heart to say that, but hey, we read for enjoyment, not out of obligation. That's what I'm learning and telling myself. Anyways, the last few books that I did finish in September are Flamefall, which is the second book to Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. I gave this book also 4 stars. The writing, I will say, towards the middle of her books to the end, they start picking up and it gets very, very interesting. You have to get through kind of, not world building, but kind of just setting up the plot in the beginning of the books. Like the first one, it's not giving that 5-star feeling. I'm not really connected to the characters. I don't think about this book or this series or the characters once I finish them. And I think because it's so plot heavy, and like I said, the romance is still a subplot in this book, I feel really far removed and I didn't want to pick up the third book immediately. I felt like I kind of needed a fantasy break. I feel like I was kind of getting burnt out. I would still recommend it. Also, the covers are stunning. In this one, there's I think 3 points of view instead of 2. So it does change up a little bit. Then I read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, giving me the opportunity to say I have read all of Ali Hazelwood's books this far. I'm so excited for Checkmate to come out. That's also on my book wish list. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm trying not to buy any books because I need to get through all the books that I have currently. But this book was really, really great. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not sure I had any qualms with this book. I think I rated it 4.75 stars. I like flew through this book. In 2 hours, I read like 250 pages because I enjoyed it that much. I could not move. I just sat on the couch and I read this book. It was so fun, so sweet, a great palate cleanser in between books, and I would highly recommend. This edition came with a bonus chapter. I did not like it. I do not like lust. I do not like smut. I do not like spice. So I did not read the bonus chapter, but the entire book itself was very nice. So I will recommend it for that reason. The last book I read in September, which I literally finished yesterday, is Carrie Soto is Back. This is my first 5-star read. I'm going to talk about it in a video that actually comes out next Saturday, so stay tuned for that. I completely tabbed it. I wrote in this book, I underlined. I did not have high hopes because honestly, I just wasn't in a literary fiction mood when I picked it up, but no, it's 5 stars. It deserves all the hype that it gets. 100%. That's all I'll say because I will talk more about it in the reading vlog that comes out next week. These are all the books that I read in September. There's quite a stack here. It's very heavy. Let's get into the books that I'm going to read in October now. Okay, so these are the books that I'm gonna read in October. So I'm currently reading By a Thread by Lucy Score. I am obsessed with this new cover and it's freaking huge, as all Lucy Score books are. You'll also see this book in next week's video, so subscribe so you don't miss it. But these are the 4 books that I have that I really truly want to get to in October, and I'm like actually planning on reading them. Like, it's not gonna be like last month where I pick out some books and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read them and then I read one and DNF it. No, I'm actually gonna get to these books, and 3 of them are on my physical TBR, so we're making some kind of progress. The first one is Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This is a very interesting book because C.S. Lewis is a Christian author, and this book is about 2 demons writing to each other, talking about how to overtake a man that they're essentially tracking and plotting against and wanting to attack. And it may sound a little controversial, a little odd that a Christian is writing about 2 demons. I had no idea this came with a bookmark. Okay, anyways, that's actually awesome. But in the end, spoiler alert, the Christian wins. So the man becomes a Christian in the end. And because of that, demons can no longer latch on to him or whatever it may be. And that's a very important thing to know, because if you go into this book thinking it's another Christian C.S. Lewis book, that's just a red flag right there. You cannot go into this book thinking it's another Christian book, because it is a lot different. The second book is the 3rd book in the Fireborn series. It's called Fury Song. It's so much floppier here. Like, this book is not floppy at all. It's also very hard and the pages are thick. There's 482 pages in this. There was 460 in this, and it's so small. Am I excited? I don't know. I'm excited to finish it because, you know, it was a cool series, but I'm not really excited to like read it. We shall see. It sucks because I'm really not in a fantasy mood, which is so sad because fantasy is my favorite genre, but this is the second book on my October TBR. The third one is The Typewriter's Tale by Michelle Hines. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's called The Typewriter's Tale. It's a novel. I believe this is historical fiction. I know absolutely nothing else, and there's little transcripts of a typewriter, which honestly, I love that. It only has 266 pages. I'm really excited to read it. We'll see if I like it. And then the last book on my October TBR, I'm definitely gonna read more books in October. Like, I want to read Foul Heart Huntsman by Chloe Gong that just came out. I also want to read The Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. Both those books are also on my book wish list, so hopefully once I read more books I will buy those. But until then, we're gonna read my TBR, and this is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I was made aware that it's very sad and that I think it's another World War II historical fiction novel. Apparently everything Kristen Hanna writes is phenomenal, and for that reason I'm very excited. And I also think that the fall time is a great historical fiction World War II time to read books like that. So those are the 4 books on my October TBR, along with By a Thread, which would make it 5. Comment down below new releases that you think I should read and that you think I should like. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like these. Comment down below what videos you want me to put out for you guys. Comment down below what books you guys want me to read and review. And I hope you have a great day. I hope this is a phenomenal Saturday for you. Happy October. God bless you guys, and peace.